Tonight at the Hideout, we have a very good episode of fan request on The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, small people, big books, big films. We're going to be talking about tonight with co-contributor Commander Cody Murray, talking all about those little people running from things. Such a wonderful film. I can't wait to talk about it all night. It's gonna be great. Welcome everybody, this is Jason Bailey and this is
Cody Murray.
Cody Murray is here once again. You will recognize him from our previous conversations. One of them was Star Wars, and we got a request because it was such an enticing conversation. All our fans out there, both of them want us to talk about more movie stuff, more fantasy movie stuff.
Love talking fantasy movie stuff.
And in particular, we had a request for... what was it?
Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit.
The Hobbit.
The Tolkien stuff.
The Hobbit. Okay, so why do we care about the Shire and people from it?
Well, you know, there's so much history with Tolkien's Lord of the Rings that goes back to what? Post-World War II. I think he published it in the early 60s. I want to say 61, something like that. So it's been read for, you know, almost 60 years at this point. There's a strong belief that he's the guy that introduced the whole world of fantasy to the masses, for better or worse.
Do we have him to blame for World of Warcraft?
There is an argument that could be made.
What about Doritos and weight gain?
I have no idea about that. I would blame Doritos myself.
Okay.
You know, and sloth. You know, sloth to some people. Anyhow, not the Goonies character, just the sin. So anyhow, some people, for whatever reason, in the books, he just carves out this fantastic world. He wrote a language. He was a professor of English. In his
own world, in his own culture, in his own society.
A depth of information in this fantasy realm.
Oh, I tried to read it.
I know. And, you know, some people fell in love with it because it was it was different than a lot of that literature that was out at the time. Okay. And lived on for years and years.
What came first, The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings? I think the same, or what literature-wise?
I think The Hobbit came first.
You don't have to know. We're not supposed to be intelligent here.
We're not.
Okay, so the books were very popular with fantasy peoples.
Sure.
Pre-Dungeons and Dragons. And then World of Warcraft, so we have him to blame for everything. Talk about the movies. How does this relate to the books? I mean, talk about Lord of the Rings first before we get into Hobbit crap.
Sure, okay, well, you know, in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they focused on one book in each movie, right? Incredibly successful, fantastically visual. They pared down the entire world into just really the quest to destroy.
Are you telling me those 3 films that ramble on forever and ever and ever? There was more?
Oh, way more. Way more. And anybody that's
maybe
read
they
books
should have delved into that material then.
No, because a lot of the stuff was I don't want to say superfluous, but it enlarged the world. You know, it
enlarged the movie. Complete. I don't get it. I mean, I'm into a lot of fantasy fanboy crap. Obviously, look at this channel. But what I mean is, like, what is the appeal of this world, these movies, this book? I mean, what is... because you like it.
Sure, yeah.
So what are you getting out of this that I don't know? Why do you like it? Why do people love this? Obviously, it's extremely successful.
Sure, yeah. So in the books, again, and in the movies, there's a fantastic story of people's uniting to, you know, overthrow the big evil. You know, good versus evil story. There's the reluctant hero in Aragorn who doesn't want to be, you know, the king that takes over all of the realms of men. He's
like the Godfather.
He's got to rise up. And then you get this you know, little hobbit character who ends up being the savior of everything. You know, it's the most unlikely of heroes.
So. Called Ewoks in Return of the Jedi. I don't need 3 huge sprawling films for that. Anyway,
so anyhow, so there's all of those themes: good overcoming evil, different races coming together and cooperating.
It's the UN. Oh no! Hold on, you said cooperating.
Kind of, sorta, and then of course there's all the armor, the costumes, the
splitting of these films, the Hobbit films. Right. I thought the Hobbit was one book.
Yeah, Hobbit's one book.
So where are we getting 15 films out of one book? I think it's a money sitch.
Oh, you think? You think that? They were originally going to do 2 movies, and I'm thinking, that's okay. There's enough material that you could break this book into 2 films, maybe 2.5 hours-ish, whatever. And then somewhere in time after that, they're like, let's do 3. I'm like, why do you need to do 3? There's no need to do 3. There's not enough information there to do 3. Unless they're an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours tops. But each of these movies so far, the 2 that are out, just the 2, have come in close to 3 hours. I think the first one was 169 minutes. I think the second one was 163. Okay? That's a lot of fucking Hobbit. By the way, don't Google fucking Hobbit, because it's fucking horrible.
Don't do that. Mm-hmm. It's up there with the furries.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so let's talk about first of all, obviously you think maybe the splitting of the films is unnecessary, maybe it doesn't get to the plot fast enough, maybe there's too much plot, who knows. What's the comparison here? I mean, not just the films, but the books too. What's better? What's it like? The Hobbit versus all the Lord of the Rings stuff.
Well, I felt like they did a pretty good job with the Lord of the Rings.
And you've read the books?
Yeah, a few times.
Okay.
Not recently, but I've read them. I thought they did a fairly good job really capturing the themes and the quest to destroy the ring, the fight of good versus evil and such, in the Lord of the Rings films. I thought visually it was spectacular. This was when Weta really made its mark as a visual design company and such.
Weta?
Yeah, down in New Zealand. Yeah,
that's very racist.
What?
Particularly to white women.
Okay, whatever. They did cut out a ton of material to make the Lord of the Rings only 3 hours apiece. 2.5. The last one's like 3.5, and there's 4 endings. 6 endings. I'm sorry.
Well, how can there be 6 endings? It's already written in a book.
If you watched anybody that's watched The Return of the King knows what I'm talking about.
Choose Your Own Adventure novel?
Not quite, but that.
Raise your hand if you're old enough to remember Choose Your Own Adventure.
Good times. Good times. I had a bunch. I sold them to my brother. I needed some money. I had to buy some comics.
I got you.
Anyhow,
Choose Your Own Adventure comic.
It would be cool. It sounds like a discussion from Big.
That's
right?
awesome.
Anyhow, with The Hobbit. Which is a smaller book than any of the Lord of the Rings books.
It's smaller?
Yes, it is actually physically smaller. It's also shorter in length. They have...
It has insecurities. Well, how's everything else? Like the plot, the acting, the production?
Production's good. Acting's good for what it's worth. Also, The Hobbit is a different story than The Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit was much more of a children's...
See, I was a kid, I tried reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
I got like 5 pages in. Done.
Forget about it.
But I did watch that Hobbit cartoon that was very popular back in the early 80s?
Is that the Ralph Bakshi?
Yeah, right? Yeah. And I saw that and said, was that accurate? Because that's all I know. That's the Hobbit story I know.
That's been a long-ass time since I've seen that. But yeah, that was fairly accurate. Different designs on the characters.
Yeah, I mean, at least that was just a simplified, interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord of the Rings just seemed like, oh Frodo, we're hiding, we're running, oh Frodo, I'm with you, and Frodo, let's hide, and oh, let's hide some more, Frodo, oh God, Frodo, let's run, Frodo, I'm hiding, Frodo.
Frodo or Fredo?
Fredo.
All right.
Fredo.
The Lord of the Godfather. The Godfather of the Rings. How about that? There's a good mashup.
That is very good. Godfather of the Rings. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is, for someone who's not into it, every scene is the same scene. Hiding under a bridge, hiding from dragons, hiding from people coming to kill him, hiding, running.
But there weren't any dragons in the Lord of the
doing.
Rings. What are you talking about?
Oh, whatever the hell.
All right. The first time I saw The Lord of the Rings, the first movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, I was in Santa Cruz with 8 other people, so there were 9 of us, okay? Fans of the series.
Well, we can do simple math.
Shut up. You don't even know what that means, so I'm just going to let the viewers appreciate that. Anyhow.
So like 9 realms or 9 elves looking for 9
There's
rings
9 companions for 9
Yeah,
rings.
I got it.
Okay?
See, I did get it.
Took you long enough. Greatest detective. Jeez. Anyhow, so during the movie, there's one of many sequences where it's a montage of them running through the rivers and over hill and dale.
The whole film should have been a montage.
One of my friends
with Vince DiCola music playing.
One of my friends who's read it numerous times leans into me and says, 50 pages, 100 pages, 150 pages. Like, yes, this is the part that Tolkien needed to pare down for today's audience. You know?
It's got one last film that's coming out, and
Right.
chances are very high it's going to be close to 3 hours. I mean, if it okay,
Oh, yeah.
great. So 9 hours in total to tell
Give or take.
the book of The Hobbit. Okay. How do you feel about it? Do you think it's going to pay off? Do you think it's a waste of time? How do you feel about it?
Well, it has to pay off. Anybody that saw Desolation of Smaug knows that it was like a big cock tease. They build it up so much. You get to see the dragon, Smaug, the fucking monster that has taken over the dwarves' home, guarding their gold. This is the whole reason that they needed Bilbo Baggins to come with them. Is he's a burglar, or at least Gandalf sells him on that. And it's a great interaction. The funny thing about that sequence, when Bilbo is sneaking in to find this lost gem that was like it signified that the dwarves were rulers of this kingdom, right? It was this big fancy gem, the Arkenstone, I think it was called. Yeah, hey, check it out. The voice of Smaug was Benedict Cumberbatch, who plays Sherlock on the BBC.
Oh, what a big fucking surprise.
And then you've got Martin Freeman playing Bilbo, who plays Watson on Sherlock. So you've got these two interacting.
There's like 3 actors in Britain that get all of the work, apparently. So are you looking forward to it, or what?
I guess. It kind of feels like...
Well, let's say something to the fans that will make them feel, yay, Hobbits!
No, I don't know. Look, this is...
Can you like, as a fan of this Tolkien stuff, can you like the Lord of the Rings stuff and not like the Hobbit and it's okay? Or are they going to be pissed? Is it going to hurt the legacy of the Fellowship of the Rings or whatever the hell?
No, I think the Lord of the Rings trilogy is established, is fine. It's very much like the original Star Wars and prequel Star Wars. I mean, it's the same universe, right? But
that makes a lot of sense.
That's
one of them was good, the other one sucked.
Pretty much.
The one that sucked was supposed to come before
now,
in the story.
Side note, real quick, episode 3 of Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith. Most people...
I know what it is.
Would argue that most people would argue that was the best,
sure,
or at least the least bad,
sure,
of those originals. So I think
we're hoping the same thing
is going to happen with the Hobbit. The first one in the Hobbit was enjoyable, was good. The second one was a real letdown, and again between pacing, between dialogue. For me, again, there's some cool moments for sure, absolutely some cool moments. Smaug looked amazing. It's like they spent their whole budget on the CGI for this dragon. And possibly Benedict Cumberbatch.
King Kong should have come back in this one.
Never know. That might happen in the third one. Why not? King Kong versus a dragon. I wonder who'd win.
This is a very nice shirt.
Thank you.
It's very Hobbity.
It is. That's why I wore it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Looking good there.
My wife made it. Thanks, honey.
I care.
I know you.
Okay, so at any rate, I wish that I had more to say about this topic. However, I don't. He likes it. I don't. Everyone in the world likes it. I don't. But hopefully for all you people that do like The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Tolkien stuff, this last film pays off for you. And it's worth 9 hours in total to tell the story of The Hobbit when I watched it as a cartoon back in the 80s.
Yeah, and just wait for the special editions to come out.
Watch that cartoon, it's good.
An extra 45 minutes in each film. That'll be the keeper.
And then with all your friends, have a big frickin' marathon where you start with the Hobbit Special Edition Blu-rays all the way through the Tolkien ones. You lose your girlfriend, your parents die, you lose your house, you don't work, you lose everything, and you end up just falling over because you don't eat.
But you gain 100 pounds.
And 10 years.
There you go.
10 years, 100 pounds to watch the entire Tolkien marathon. Sounds great. This does sound like World of Warcraft.
Well, this is the kind of originator of all the fantasy stuff. And you go from, think about it, you go from Lord of the Rings in the early 60s.
All you need for fantasy stuff is He-Man and Conan. Conan the Barbarian and Masters of the Universe. That's all you need. Fantasy wrapped up.
People will disagree.
The hell with people. Anyway, Cody, thank you so much for coming on today.
My pleasure.
And explaining this Hobbit thing to me. It hasn't changed my opinion, but I know a lot of you out there really enjoy it. So for all you guys, have a great third final film. And we hope to see you back in here again. Any final thoughts, sir?
Good luck and Godspeed. Let's hope this thing is better than the last one. Jesus.
For God and country.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time here at the Hideout. I hate The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and midgets in particular. I would like you to tell people why they do like it, because I don't even know why.
Well, I don't know why you hate midgets when you liked Ewoks so much. You know, I know that's
because they were furry then.
Well, that's weird, because hobbits are furry.